welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. So excited to have the Chairman Pro Tem of the Shelby County Commission, Van Turner. He's also the Budget Chair, Budget and Finance Chair for the Shelby County Commission. Chairman Pro Tem, welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Look, I know this is a busy day for you. You have a commission meeting this afternoon.
That's correct.
And so talk to me about a lot of the requests that you've had. This has been a different type of year with the advent of budget cams and requests from the district attorney's office, support needed, I believe. And I was looking at the news last week or week before that, and it looks like the sheriff has some additional requests. And then, of course, the school system. So as budget chair, how are you handling all of this?
Well, as you know, I know you've been there as well. It's it can be overwhelming at times, but I think we're at the point now where we've streamlined all the requests, so we actually have done the wrap up, so we know all that's out there. Hopefully there will not be any more surprises, and we'll kind of see what we have to do in order to continue the services of Shelby County, but also make sure is not too burdensome for the taxpayers. And so what's on the table now, as many have already heard, the school system is the big budgetary request this year. They're asking for $27 million, which will go directly to the Shelby County schools. And when you do the ADA split, and I think some other things may be added to it, the number is close to maybe $35 million.
Okay.
But as you know, the money follows the student. And so we're tasked with making sure that every student is funded, no matter if that student attends Shelby County schools or if that student attends the 6 municipal school districts. So that's one thing. The sheriff has also asked for a request. He's asked for 30 more deputies. We also, what happened over the weekend, I think I was on Channel 5 last week saying that, you know, it would be great if there could be a metro unit to address some of the needs, like we have a metro gang unit, a metro narcotics unit, maybe a metro downtown unit, or maybe a metro homicide unit. Just if the sheriff and the police department could work together to address sort of where we need the most attention, I think that would be a good idea. And as we see, we definitely need it within the core of the city, and we need it as far as the homicide. As you know, we see that those numbers for homicides are pretty high this year.
It looks like, Chairman Pro Tem, that we're at 95 homicides.
Correct.
And with that, I'm so glad that you've approached it the way that you've approached it, because I remember back in the day when I was on the commission, that was a topic of discussion, because at the time Sheriff Luttrell disbanded the metro, working with the police department metro forces. And Memphis is the largest municipality within Shelby, and you know, if the sheriff is the sheriff over all of Shelby County, then there should be some, I guess, they ought to be able to work together.
Right, I agree.
For the good of all.
I agree, because no matter if you're in Bartlett or Arlington or Collierville or Germantown, you come to play and to attend restaurants, to go to shows, to go to your FedEx Forum to catch Grizzly games. You got to come to Memphis to get the airplanes to where you're headed for your business or your pleasure scenario. So I think that everyone has a vested interest in making sure Memphis is safe. And so I think taxpayers want a safe county. They want a safe city. They don't want to go to dinner downtown and be worried that something may happen, or Midtown, or anywhere in the county. So I think that there is a need for the Sheriff's Department and the Memphis Police Department to work more closely together to resolve the issues that we have in the community right now.
So you mentioned early on, big ticket item is funding our school systems, and I know that there's going to be a news conference today right before your meeting at 3 with community leaders and some elected officials asking the commission to fully fund the request that the Shelby County school system presented to you. How do you think that's going to play out in terms of the commission. Is it an agenda item today? For the Shelby County Schools
right.
budget?
Well, I think we're going to get to this as well. The wheel tax is an agenda item today. The operating budget is deferred to the next committee meeting for June 15th, and then it will come back up for the next commission meeting. The reason for the deferment is because we want to take a look at making sure that 100% of the wheel tax went to operating, and not necessarily half of it to operating and half of it to capital.
Okay.
Which is where that's how it's set up now. And so for your viewers, the wheel tax is what you pay, of course, when you have to go get a new license, a new tags, or those things. It's on your motor vehicle.
Right.
And it's earmarked for education. And the amount projected for the wheel tax is $32 million. $16 million is already built into the budget for operating, and that's for the six municipal districts and the Shelby County School District.
Okay.
So that's already allocated out. And so what you have is a remaining $16 million, which the administration has earmarked to go to capital improvement to fix, HVAC units, roofs, buildings, whatever is there as a structural defect. But Superintendent Hobson has indicated that he would much rather that money go to operating.
Okay.
And the reason that makes sense is if the money is in operating, you can use it for capital.
Exactly.
Or for operating. If it's in capital, it's restricted. Only for capital needs. So what we want to do today, hopefully, is adjust what we have in place as it stands for the wheel tax, and we're going to request that the full $32 million go towards operating, and so that additional $16 million could go to the operating budgets for all of the districts. In particular, with the Shelby County schools, they'll get about $11 million once you do the ADA split.
Okay.
Then the remaining $5 million will be dispersed among the 6 other municipal districts in the suburbs.
Is the ADA formula antiquated? Do you think we need it?
Well, I mean, right now, it's probably the fairest way to do things.
Okay.
It's born of a lawsuit. I think the suit had a couple of lawsuits, which ended up trying to fully fund education,
right.
And it's not fully funded. The
right.
BEP formula, as you've probably heard, and so unless we have something that's better, I'm scared to leave what we have now, because at least we're guaranteed the funding, but if there is a better mechanism, I would be in favor of it, because right now we don't get all the money that we need from the state, and that's been acknowledged by everyone, including the local Shelby County delegation. And to be honest with you, the needs within the core city are probably just a little more significant than I would say needs outside of the city. I mean, you have a lot of social issues that take place. Poverty is very much a factor within the Shelby County school system. And so the free and reduced lunch program, it was in such great need that everyone has free and reduced lunch now. But before then, it was like 80 or 90% of the students needed a free or reduced lunch. And that's really just a symptom of the poverty that's within the city. So is the ADA split fair? I mean, I don't know when you consider all the Title I needs of the district, when you consider all the poverty that's within the Shelby County schools. But right now, it's what we have, and I would be very reluctant to leave it unless we had something better waiting for us.
I just think about the suburban school districts or so. They have a lot of money.
Correct.
In those districts.
Yep.
And with that ADA split, now it's reversed.
Right.
Back when, Shelby County Schools was Memphis City Schools.
Right.
And even though I was a supporter of, one district, I mean, the financial impact since the, the split of all of the municipalities, it's really hurt.
It's hurt. And we never, I think the school district never got the $57 million in a lump sum back that was taken.
Exactly.
And as Superintendent Hobson has explained, the Shelby County school system started with a structural deficit. I mean, they started out in the hole.
Right.
And had to cut and there's still, a shortfall, and it's only so much that can be cut before you start adversely affecting the quality of education that our students will receive.
Right.
And so we want to do all that we can to fund the district, because when you talk about crime, when you talk about poverty, economic development, when you talk about all the social ills within Memphis and Shelby County, it's all related to education. And if these young ones are not on reading level by grade 2 and 3 or 3, if they don't know, their name and not the nickname,
right?
Early on, if they can't count just their basic numbers and know basic arithmetic, then we got an issue.
Right.
I mean, that child is going to hurt someone. That child will likely fall into a life that we all don't want that child to fall into a life of doing, and that's a life of crime, of poverty, of trying to make it and not knowing how to make it, not having the proper tools to make it. So I think this whole community should have a concern about education, and this whole community should want every child within Shelby County to receive quality education. And so that's why, again, we're going to ask that the total wheel tax be used for the operating needs of the entire, educational framework. That's the Shelby County schools as well. This is money that's going out to the suburban schools, whether they want it or not. They're not asking, but they're going to get it.
Exactly.
And if those municipal districts want the money for capital needs, which is probably where more of the focus is out there, then they can use it for that. If they need it for operating, they can use it for that. Same with the Shelby County schools. We don't want to restrict the funding. If the money is there for operating, they can use it for operating. If there are capital needs, they could put it over into the CIP fund and use it for capital improvement. And so once we take the $12 million or so that was already built into the budget for additional funding to education, then you have an additional $5 million that comes from the sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
You're at about $17 million now. And then once you add in probably the $11 million, well, let me run that back. There's $12 million coming from the actual budget from the administration.
Okay.
That has to enter into an 88 split, so it actually ends up being about $8 million.
Okay, for Shelby County.
Right.
Okay.
And so the $8 million is there. The $5 million comes from the sales tax. So you have about $12 million.
Okay.
Okay. And then if we direct the additional $16 million from the wheel tax to go to the operating accounts for all the school systems, after the 88 split, that becomes about $11 million that goes to the district. So you really end up with 12 plus 11. So you end up with about $22 million. So of the $27 million that is actually the baseline, the minimum that they need, the $27 million, if we could get them to 22, that leaves just about $5 million there. And hopefully with some of the schools closing, with other things that can perhaps be done, they can meet the $27 million number that they need.
Okay, with some efficiencies they may have.
Yeah, that's remaining to make up that $5 million shortfall. So I'm hoping that, that would at least get them to where they need to be at without having to ill affect the classroom with any future cuts. But we'll have to see. All of this is a work in progress. But it's critical that we make sure that remaining $16 million from the wheel tax, the 16 remaining of the $32 million overall, that we can direct that $16 million to operating.
Okay.
And I think that's key, because that's going to make up the most of the gap that's there.
Well, sounds like you have a plan. You and the commission have a plan.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping that works out.
Yeah, we need 7 votes.
Ooh, you know how that goes.
Right.
You know I know.
Right.
So I'm hoping that can happen today for you all. And I know today's vote would be
for
just
the wheel
preliminary
tax.
For the wheel tax.
Correct.
And I'm just so glad that we're having this discussion about the wheel tax, because so many people believe that the wheel tax was created and it doesn't go towards education, and it does, totally.
It does.
They say, you use that money for X. It's totally for education.
That is correct. And the thing that they may misunderstand is half of it is for operating, half of it is capital improvement, but it's only capital improvement for the schools.
Right.
It's not our capital improvement. It's the school system's capital improvement.
I don't know how many times,
Right.
Chairman Pro Tem, I've heard that.
Right.
that, you just take our wheel tax money and it goes towards them. Like, no, it doesn't.
It goes to education.
It goes to education.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the disparity study.
Mm-hmm.
So the county has accepted the disparity
Right.
study, and now what's the next steps?
Well, we have an ad hoc committee that's meeting, and we've invited Dr. Ramsey back to consult with us. And I think the two would be good. Actually, today, I'm the commission representative for the city council's
Disparity wonderful.
committee. So I'm having the opportunity to serve on
Both sides. Okay.
So that's a good, it's really good because I can see both committees at work. And so there are some synergies I think that will come out of the committee meetings from both the council and the commission. One is just being able to be cleared as a MWB with the city or with the county, and that's it. Like, once your commission certification is done, you don't have to go and recertify for the city.
With everybody, because that's the process now.
It's just, you just need one certification. And I think there's hopefully buy-in from MLG and W. There's buy-in, at least the Shelby County Schools. They have been invited. So if you could have one certification, and that certification is a one for all.
Okay.
If you're a minority or women-owned business for the county, then you should be a minority and women-owned business for every other government entity within the city and county, quite frankly. So, but at least at the table, I think would be the Shelby County Schools, MLG&W, the airport, the city, and the county. So that's one thing I think that could create some synergy and could really streamline and make the whole certification process more efficient. And so we're working on that process. And the controversy with Dr. Ramsey was based on, do we want to do this thing right the first time?
Right.
And get it done and not have it challenged in court? Or do we want to save money, pull some stuff together,
and then be challenged down the line?
And probably be challenged.
Right.
Because what we were hearing was, let's just borrow from the city's program. Let's borrow from Nashville. Let's borrow from Baltimore and pull it together based on the data, and presto, there you have it. But the law says that if you are starting a program and it's race-based, it has to be narrowly tailored to address the specific need of the community. Nashville's MWE program does not specifically address what's going on in Shelby County.
Right.
Neither does the program in Baltimore, Chicago, or even in Memphis.
Different demographics.
The program has to be narrowly tailored based on the disparity within the community, the entity which is being addressed. And so that's why we wanted Dr. Ramsey back, because she knows the data better than anyone else, having done the study, and we felt that she could create a program and make sure that it is narrowly tailored to meet the specific needs of Shelby County, and we wouldn't just be cutting and pasting from all these other groups, and all those other cities didn't have the data that we have. You don't want to go too far, but you want to push it to make sure you challenge the disparities and correct the disparities. And so, if you go too far left or right, you can invite a lawsuit, a constitutional challenge, and that's years and years of litigation. And if they state a program, that's years and years of still not having a program in place. So we want to avoid litigation at all costs. We want to do it right the first time. And I think it was money well spent to invite Dr. Ramsey back to consult, to make sure our program, MWE program, is narrowly tailored to meet the specific needs and disparities and issues of Shelby County. And so that's what we're doing right now.
I was very proud of the fact that the county commission took the lead on this initiative after, understanding that the numbers were so abysmal on the county side.
Right.
But is that normally what happens, Chairman Pro Tem? Is it normally the executive branch that takes the lead on these types of initiatives, or the legislative?
as you know, as a former commissioner, you really got to work hand in hand. But we're a commission-strong county.
Very much strong.
And so with 7 votes on the commission, you can do just about anything.
That's right.
In the county. And so I think that's why you see, the commission playing such a big part in what's taking place. Mayor Luttrell and the administration, they are working with us. But I think it's appropriate that the commission really take the lead and really push this issue because, at the end of the day, the 13 commissioners will have to answer to their constituencies.
Right.
My constituents in Hickory Hill and Southeast Shelby County want the disparity resolved.
Right.
And I'm sure all the other commissioners within their districts, they're hearing it as well. And so, we don't have a choice, and that's the way it should be. And so I think that's why you're seeing the commission take the lead. We're going to continue to push the issue, and I'm glad that we're able to work together with the administration. And the administration knows that we want this done, and they know that we want this disparity resolved going forward. And I think that they hear us loud and clear, and they're working with us, and hopefully we'll get this study up and going. Carolyn Watkins in the EOC office is doing a great job. She will be part of the process as far as making sure that we address the needs and concerns of the community and making sure that we properly implement the MWB program. So I'm very happy that she's there. She's done a wonderful job, and I think this will allow her to do even more in her position with the equal opportunity office for the county.
I'm really glad to hear that because she has been a long-term EOC leader.
Correct.
And so glad that she's really engaged in the process. Really engaged. Do we need more sheriff's deputies? The sheriff thinks so, but the administration doesn't think so. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Do you think, in the big context of things?
I think that given the
current environment,
given the fact that the Memphis Police Department is not at its full complement, I think, the sheriff's department maybe has an obligation to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Memphis Police Department disappears tomorrow, or the Bartlett Police Department, or Arlington's Police Department, the constitutional officer tasked with ensuring public safety in Shelby County is the sheriff's department.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, that's where the buck stops. And so if one of the municipal governments or all of the municipal governments are having issues with public safety, the sheriff has to play a part in resolving the issue. He's elected by the people to be the top law enforcement officer for the county. So with that said, I support, a request for more deputies if those deputies will be concentrated in the areas where we're experiencing the high crime and homicide. I don't think they're asking for more officers in the suburbs.
Right.
I think we need more officers in the city. And so to the extent that the sheriff is requesting more deputies for that need, then I'm supportive. But there again, it costs us money.
It does.
And where do you balance? You got the $35 million overall request from the district, and then you got, the $4 or $5 million request from the sheriff's office. So education and safety. I mean, these are critical issues. Can we properly educate our kids if their parents or if the kids are not safe, not unable to walk to school and walk back home in a safe environment, unable to go into a classroom and not be bullied or threatened with someone that that has a weapon or that means to do them harm. And by the way, the sheriff's department is having to take over school security now as well. So
that was let me say, Chairman Pro Tem, that was the big argument between former Sheriff Luttrell and I when I was on the commission, because they would submit for grants for deputies to be in the schools in the suburbs, but not in the inner city. So I would talk to every superintendent and say, do we not need deputies in our high schools in the city? And Superintendent Carol Johnson, Superintendent Watson, all of them would say, well, and we need your assistance. But we never gave it. We never gave it back then. So that's, I mean, you know, with Memphis
Yeah.
MPD getting out of the school business
Right.
altogether,
Right.
it falls on the county.
So I do think there are some legitimate needs for additional deputies. What was proposed at the budget meeting was something that could be a temporary fix.
Okay.
Part of what happens now is that the sheriff is restricted when he can hire deputies.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were hearing was that if the sheriff could hire deputies all year long, that would alleviate some of the financial pressures that he's facing now. And so I think there are a lot of things that are being tweaked
Okay.
in order to make sure that the financial request is not so high, and to perhaps make sure that within the next budget season, or put it where after we confirm a budget and pass a budget, perhaps going back to reopen that budget from some additional funds that would come in would be helpful, and then having the sheriff given the ability to hire all year long. I mean, if he needs a deputy now, he can go hire the deputy, and there's not a lot of red tape for him to go through. I think once you can bring those two things together, we may have a decent resolution that's at play at this point. But it's going to take a little time. We'll have to confirm the budget and, you know, reopen it pretty quickly at some point after July 1. As you know, the budget has to be voted in and confirmed by July 1. And so shortly after that time period, I think there's a thought to reopen the budget for some other funding that may perhaps come in, and then we allow the sheriff to hire deputies on the spot who
Okay.
met the criteria and are ready to go, and just to cut that red tape out. So they get the money in, they have the ability to hire deputies, and they could probably start working towards that, you know, that 30 personnel request, 30 additional officer personnel requests that he's asked for, and so we'll see if that works out. But of course, the whole issue is money.
It is. It's money. And
Right.
so we're not looking at a property tax increase this year.
No, it's still is $4.37 per $100.
Okay.
Some of my colleagues may even ask for a decrease, but I mean, given all the issues,
You have.
I don't know how you do that.
Been
No,
there, done that.
I mean, I really don't. I mean, the homicide rate,
Yeah.
the education needs, poverty. I don't see how you do it, and I might allude to the fact that Mr. Hyde wrote a very good piece in which he stated,
the commercial appeal op-ed, yeah.
right, let's fund education, but let's not, if at all possible, have a tax increase. Nowhere in the article did he mention decrease.
Right.
So my assumption is that if it's a choice between a tax decrease and having this community experience further homicide issues, further issues with education, further issues with poverty, I think the business community would be supportive of a flat tax rate.
Right.
Leave it as is until we can get some of these issues resolved. It doesn't make sense to cut the money at the time that we need it the most. I can understand if we've had 10 homicides thus far, but we've had 90 homicides.
95.
95. So, I mean, this is not the time to be restricting funds.
Not at all.
Yeah, so I really, I don't know how you make a decrease work. I'm sure some will try and we'll hear it, but, I have an open mind. I'll hear any plan, but right now it would be very hard to convince the people in my district that that they would be willing to trade a cent off the property taxes, yet they have all the, you can't go downtown
Right.
with peace of mind. The schools are not where they need to be. Poverty is still crushing the community. So I don't think the residents of Hickory Hill or Southeast Shelby County would have us decrease a penny off the tax rate, but still have all these issues looming.
Chairman Pro Tem, do you hear from your constituents? I know when I was on the commission, they would write me, they would call me, specifically on hot button issues. Do you hear from them?
I do.
Good.
And I go to them. I had a town hall meeting recently at Anointed Temple of Praise
A-top.
with the wonderful Pastor Murray, Dr.
That's
Murray, a great community advocate and just a great pillar of the Southeast Shelby County and Hickory Hill community. And he opened up his house and allowed us to meet, and we had maybe 50 to 60
That's good.
folks to come in. Homeowners associations were represented. We had deputies there from the sheriff's office. We had several folks there that could address the needs. The trustee was there to talk about how we get the money in, because people don't understand where the money comes from. Mr. Harvey Kennedy was there to explain how the budget is made, and Commissioner Eddie Jones accompanied me. We share Hickory Hill.
Okay.
And I also had Patrice Robertson there from City Council. Kevin Woods there as the school board rep for that area. And so we had a very robust discussion, and I think the people appreciated it, and I think I'm going to have to do it again.
Good, good. Well, let us know, because we want to publicize it to try and get as many people out for you as possible. Chairman Pro Tem, thank you so much for coming, because I know it's a busy day for you and dialoguing with Deidre. But if anybody wants to reach out to you to maybe discuss any commission business, and let me just say he's also a very prominent attorney in the city, so if you have any legal work in his area, then give him a call. Let them know how to reach you.
So you can reach me at the County Commission at 222-1000, and you can just ask for me. And if you have any needs, specifically if you have needs within District 12, that's Hickory Hill or Southeast Shelby County, let us know. But if you have any needs, period, let us know, 222-1000. And for the law practice, we do business, government, and property. And so you can reach us at 290-6610. That's 290-6610. That's how you can reach the law firm, and we'll be happy to hear your concern and try to assist you.
Wonderful. Chairman Pro Tem, thank you so much for coming on Dialogue with Deidre. You know you are welcome anytime to come back.
Well, I appreciate it, and I look up to you, Chairman Malone. You've been a great public servant, and you continue to be a great public servant.
Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate all that you've done in this community and all that you continue to do. And anything that I can do to support you, you let me know.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. Their licensed professional pharmacists provide excellent service while filling your wellness needs. They have $4 generic plans, and they accept all major insurance providers. And they even offer free delivery for senior citizens. At Taylor Brown, they pride themselves on the personal care and attention they give every customer. Ask about their uninsured discount pharmacy program. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore. They're located 3333 Shelby Drive. Give them a call today at 901-794-3690 or visit them online, TaylorBrownGroup.com. The Taylor Brown Apothecary is your community drugstore.
Did you know that every 34 seconds someone has a heart attack? Every 40 seconds someone has a stroke? But it doesn't have to be that way. Every day there's hope. Join me and the American Heart Association and get serious about your heart and your health. If you're doing nothing, do something. If you're doing something, do more. Find healthy living solutions from the American Heart Association's My Heart, My Life. It's that simple.
And now let's take some questions from the public.
Mr. Chairman, why do we keep cutting back on education?
Governor, you want to take that question?
Mr. Chairman, let's give this one to the Senate Majority Leader.
Since this matter was taken up in AB 3712, I think it best if I defer to the Assembly Majority Leader.
Actually, pursuant to Department of Education statutes, the State Secretary of Education would be more qualified to answer. Mr. Secretary.
My legal team has advised me not to comment at this time, so I'll humbly refer to our State Superintendent of Schools.
Pass. Definitely pass. Okay, County Superintendent.
Well, young lady, it's just too complicated.
Can you tell me who's responsible for my education?
That is a good question. Governor?
Repeat the question, please.
I don't see why I can't get an answer from
You're asking a lot of difficult questions.
Oh, she sure is.
are you?
Well, I'm the governor.
What is this?
Your 2 minutes are up!
Stop the circus. Contact your legislators at thisbudgetblows.com.
Mom, here's the mail.
Thanks, sweetie.
Mom, can I grab $20 from you today?
Yeah, sure, that's okay.
Cool, thanks.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Good morning, M1 Network. This is Brittany Jones, and we're coming up with Dialogue with Deidre, so stay tuned.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
Van Turner for being a part of our show, the first part of our show. We have about 10 minutes or so left, Eddie, 10 minutes or so left on the show. And so I just want to take this opportunity to just update you on a few things. The Memphis Black Expo, oh my goodness, what a success. Vieira Boyd and her team should be very, very proud of the turnout for the events, the consciousness panel, the Stax Museum honoring Boo Mitchell and Stephanie Bolton. All of the events have been just fabulous, and she should be so proud, and we're proud of the fact that we were able to help her here on the M1 network, as well as the Carter Malone Group. So kudos to you, Vieira. And you know, my team, the Seafood Nutrition Partnership, was there at the Black Expo and had a booth, and we were able to meet some very cool people. I don't know. I know Reverend Dr. Noel Hutchinson had an opportunity to interview Roland Martin, and we were all excited about that. I'm sure he's probably going to run that clip on his show probably on Monday, next Monday. And then, but we had a chance to my interns had a chance to do selfies with him, and he was just so gracious, as well as rapper, producer, Al Capone. Al Capone actually took the Healthy Heart Pledge to eat seafood 2 times a week, and so we were very excited about that. And then David Banner, right, Brittany? David Banner was there with the interns holding up the sign, Seafood Nutrition, trying to get Mid-Southerners to eat seafood at least 2 times a week. So kudos again to the Memphis Black Expo and for a successful event. I guess you see that I am wearing my Hillary pin. Let me move the mic so you can see it. Hillary. Yes, I am a Hillary Clinton supporter, and there is a big primary going on in California tomorrow, and based on the number of delegates that she's already captured, I think she captured about 62 in Puerto Rico over the weekend, and if she brings home, I think she's down, only needs about 30-something, 32 maybe, 32 maybe, additional delegates, and then she is the Democratic nominee going into the Democratic convention. It looks like Senator Bernie Sanders is still going to take it to the mat in Philadelphia, but let me just say that there's nothing wrong with a healthy, clean fight. And he did take it to Secretary of State Secretary Clinton, and his supporters are gung-ho. But my hope is after tomorrow night that his supporters see the writing on the wall, and what they do is come together and support Secretary Clinton, because she will be the Democratic nominee. So on every show, every Dialogue with Deidre show moving forward until we take it all the way home in November, I'm going to be wearing some type of Hillary paraphernalia. So you can know either it's the Hillary pin, because I have a couple of them, my Hillary t-shirt, my Hillary, hoodie, whatever. I'm going to be representing, because we just need to go ahead and close it on out tomorrow in California, and then in Philadelphia at the Democratic National Convention, and then close it out against Donald Trump in November. And I just believe that we're going to be able to do that. Here in Memphis, earlier we talked to Chairman Pro Tem Van Turner, and we alluded to all of the homicides that have taken place since January 1 of this year. 95 homicides. And over the weekend, one of the police officers that lost his life, Mr. Vernell Verdell Smith, was someone that my oldest son, Patrick Malone II, we call him Kirk, had an opportunity to work with part-time when he was here in Memphis at Northwest Airlines. So it must have been a part-time job for Officer Smith. And he called me after he heard about Officer Smith's just, senseless homicide, that he was devastated like so many others because he was just such a good guy. I guess big in stature, really tall, but my son would tell me that, when he would see him out driving around Memphis, and he'd pull him over and say, "Hey, Malone, I just want to see how you doing." And was always looking out for him, as he did so many others. I was reading in a post on Facebook that Tri-State Defender publisher Burnell Smith wrote about how there were 4 Smiths on the Whitehaven High School basketball team. Officer Smith was one, Burnell Smith was another, and then were 2 other Smiths. So they had a close relationship even from high school. So, something's going on here in the city of Memphis. 95 homicides to date, the most that we've had in a long time. And so what are we going to do as a community to try and stop this senseless killing? We're going to make sure, my intern's on it, we're going to try and see if we can get the Police Director Rawlings in the studio for an upcoming dialogue with Deidre, so we can have that discussion with him. And we do know that a lot of it is job related. And we need opportunities for employment for our citizens here in Memphis and Shelby County. And we also need to make sure that our schools are funded so those children that are coming up through the public school system, like my boys did, have an opportunity to learn and have an opportunity to graduate and have an opportunity for employment so they can take care of their families here in Memphis and Shelby County. So you've been watching Dialogue with Deidre. We hope that you feel good about our show and the guests that we have on our show. And if you do, then we want to hear from you. Let us know either on the M1 TV network Facebook page, the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page, or email me directly at deidre@deidremalone.com. We look forward to hearing from you. We're going to take a break on Wednesday. We're not going to have a show on Wednesday, but we'll be back here bright and early on next Monday. We want to thank you again for watching Dialogue with Deidre. We hope you have a great rest of your week.